Thanks for joining us and welcome to Joint Ventures. I'm your host, Sean Eubanks, CEO of Renaissance Consulting. And on our show today, we have Ali Fakhri, who is the CEO of EventHi. EventHi is an online event management platform catering to the cannabis industry. It is one of the few in California who have received an MRB, which is a marijuana-related business bank account, which means their platform is legally allowed to transact via ACH and credit card. EventHi has been receiving a ton of media coverage, including most recently being featured in Culture Magazine, Forbes, the Sacramento Bee, Direct Cannabis Network, and ABC 10 News. Ali, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. So, online event management platform, you recognized a problem with Eventbrite and sort of kind of go over that with us, Ali, and tell us why you started this company.
Yeah, of course. In 2014, late 2014, we were hosting our own event and we got shut down from Eventbrite. And the event that we were hosting had no consumption, or it was just kind of an entrepreneurial meetup. And we realized that when we read through their terms and conditions, the use of the service didn't allow cannabis events, and it wasn't just because the content on the website, but was more as a merchant and also as a transaction. They prohibited these events completely from the platform. So we figured this was a huge hassle and a risk for event organizers there in the space, organize these kind of events. Having their event shut down mid-event or having to look for another platform or return the tickets for attendees. So we really wanted to see how we can, build something that was kind of caters to them, from the ground up. That wasn't just a page that showed you events and, they send you back to Eventbrite, like a calendar or a website. So we started building the software in 2015. And we've been building, we just released January 1st, and we built it from the ground up in-house here in San Diego, California, to allow it to be a safe hosting environment for event organizers that are having issues with these events being shut down on multiple platforms, not just Eventbrite.
Well, and how long ago did Eventbrite start having problems? It seems like I heard about it most recently. Does it go back to a few years ago?
It definitely, for us, it goes back, like I was telling you, all to 2014, but it goes way back. I mean, it's part of their the contracts that, they have on their terms of use. A lot of people just don't take the chance to read them, but it's just, since the company was established, this was part of their kind of direction they wanted to go to. They looked at cannabis events as a prohibited event because the transaction comes from an illegal activity, which is a cannabis activity. So that transactions going through their platform, through their bank, and back to the organizer, who's hosting the event. It just, for them, that was an illegal activity, basically almost like washing money. So they didn't want to deal with any of those kind of events, anything that's illegal, basically, on a federal level.
And so is the difference, Ali, with EventHi just your choice to engage cannabis businesses and take that risk? Is that primarily the difference?
That's primarily the difference. Yeah, we saw this as something that we could solve for other people that they were having this issue and having to jump from platform to platform and always be at risk. So that kind of gives us the edge. But we also wanted to make sure that we don't have this issue ourselves because we do transact tickets for other events. That money that we transact, it goes through our account. So we wanted to make sure our bank account was completely aware of what kind of business we were doing. We are a software company, so a lot of people say, "Oh, okay, well, you're not selling anything. You're not selling cannabis directly." But because we're engaged in that kind of an activity, the transactions coming from that kind of activity, we had to make sure our bank was completely aware of the business that we were kind of conducting with our clients.
Well, and we'll get into the bank account in a minute, and that's an incredible achievement in itself, and I think newsworthy for the industry as a whole. But your interview with Culture Magazine, you were talking about, when looking at EventHi, we built two main ingredients. The first one was to offer users a safe hosting event management platform for them to publish their events so they don't worry. And then the second ingredient was to connect people together offline by using the same technology.
Yes. So definitely, the thing is, we really know that we wanted to keep core to the company is that, this day and age, people are spending 3 to 4 hours on their phones. They're, always social media, following, liking, posting. So we thought that we can use this as a way where we can actually bring people together offline through technology. By having a platform that's a marketplace that allows people to find experiences, networking events, meetups, something that actually pertains to what they like to do, and can, get out of the house and go actually and interact with people. Face-to-face interaction is very important to a person, I think, and that's what was our kind of idea, is that to really kind of allow people to kind of, use the technology that we're offering, in our marketplace, but to kind of use it to go meet people outside, to network and kind of really get into the industry or learn about the cannabis plant, or, just to make a new friend, I guess, you can say as well. So that was kind of really the two core ideas that we wanted to really implement in the company in the beginning.
Wonderful. It's really smart, Ali. I appreciate you doing this for the industry. You combined the online platform with the actual meet and greets, which is what needs to happen. A lot of people in the industry are still very nervous, even in California, about coming out of the shadows and publicly declaring their interest in the industry. So it's wonderful that you're doing that. So let's shift gears. Tell our listeners, what is a marijuana-related business account?
Yeah, so an MRB bank account is basically a process, what a bank does to kind of make this account as a marijuana-related business account, an MRB account. And basically what that means is that a certain bank, the bank I personally work with, it's called Partner Colorado Credit Union, and they opened a DBA called Safe Harbor Private Bank, and that's who actually issues these MRB bank accounts through the Safe Harbor Private Bank. And basically what that is an account that it is tracked every quarter and reported to FinCEN, which is, I think, the financial, I can't remember off the top of my head. They report these reports, SAR reports, they call SAR reports, Suspicious Activities Report, on our company every quarter. That allows the federal government to understand, because this is kind of a unique account, it's a marijuana account, allows them to see the transactions are going in, it's been counted for, and matches what our deposits are with the bank itself. So they constantly monitor every transaction that goes in and out through the software, or even just through a dispensary, for example. Any deposits, anything like that, and it's always reported every quarter. It is actually reported. Let me see if I can get what FinCEN, I always forget what it stands for.
Yeah, FinCEN, no worries on that. Just a regulatory body that basically is making sure that there are no financial crimes committed. It's just a regulatory federal agency. No big deal there. Let me ask you this, Ali. Talk to us about the process, because there are a lot of people, I think, listening to this that are marijuana businesses thinking, oh my gosh, he's actually achieved it. I know Safe Harbor is sort of making the rounds, and there's a lot of great things happening there, but it's still very elusive to go ahead and get that bank account. Tell me how that audit process worked and what that experience was like.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, when we started this, we didn't even know what an MRB bank account was, but we understood that it was core to our business because our entire business was done online, so everything we did, it was going through our bank account. And I know this is not even that big of an issue right now to the industry, because cash is the biggest issue. So what we did, we actually started looking for banks. We talked to every bank that we can get our hands on. We walked, I got so many no's. I got so many, get out of my office. Just so that we can find somebody who's willing to work with us on a transparent level, to understand what kind of business we have, what are we trying to do, what industry we work with, who's our clients. And we told, these banks that what we're doing, we got no's everywhere. And eventually, just by doing research, which took me about 11 months of trying to find an account like this, I realized that there were a few banks out there that were running these kind of programs, the MRB program, where it allows in a bank that kind of brings a cannabis account or a specific special case account to the platform, to their bank environment, and just kind of really oversee it. So we found Partner Colorado through just really reading articles and really just trying to figure out what this bank does. And we got an introduction directly to the CEO of the bank. And because we were involved in the Cannabis Banking Working Group in California, I don't know if you heard of the Cannabis Banking Working Group in California. It's held by John Chang, the state treasurer. They're trying to actually understand what they're going to do for 2018 with banking. I was speaking at the San Diego panel, and we kind of just really pushed ourselves to be in front of this bank that was trying to move from Colorado to California, and we got connected with the CEO, and that's how we kind of got the bank actually to give us an account through really just understanding what our model is, what kind of transaction we're doing. They dug through everything that we had. I mean, the hoops that we jumped, everything from tax, last few years of tax history, just everything from pictures in the office. Each founder, we had to kind of really, tell them who they are, what they've done. So they just wanted really to know everything about our company. They made us jump through so many hoops before they gave us the okay. But to be honest with you, the easiest way to get this is to really just start looking for these banks that are willing to work with the industry. Nobody is advertising that. You have to actually start just kind of knocking on doors and see who opens one. And the process is not that difficult to get it. It's just you have to have everything in line. If you're, like a dispensary or a manufacturer or distributor, you just have to have everything aligned before they can accept you. Your licenses, your transactions, whatever you have done, money, who's involved, any investment. We even told them who our investors are in the company. We showed them the convertible note. They go through everything. They want a completely transparent relationship between, their clients, and because to them it matters. The more you're secure, the more you're taking precaution, the more they can actually operate and do this correctly. But that's how kind of really the process was. It was just looking to actually see that we call that mythical unicorn. To find that unicorn, to see, hey, somebody's willing to work with us and offers legitimate banking services.
Well, and Ali, we advise our clients that they need to be mindful of who their partners are, right? Because you're going to be in a situation exactly like this, where you're going for this the safe harbor account, and they're looking at partner Y out of 10 partners, and there's some issues there. So, did you have to make any changes right off the bat when you realized that everybody was going to be audited?
To be honest with you, no, because for us, we got lucky because we are in software. So we actually just launched January 1st of this year. So things have been amazing through our customer and the feedback we've been getting. But what we did is we set these things up early on last year. So we got the account, I believe, in April of last year. And we just wanted everything to be set up correctly. So when we launched the actual platform, everything was set up the right way, for transactions to go through. So for us, really, it was mostly just kind of, luck of the draw. It's the model that we were in. It wasn't even started yet, so we didn't have to go through that much. But that's what they required in the beginning. They required a lot of, how much have we sold? Because to them, majority of their clients are dispensaries, are manufacturers, or distribution. Right. So to them is inventory, cash on hand. Like, they want to know all about the client before they onboard them. And we got lucked out on that because we didn't have, we're in development still. So we kind of, even we didn't have that much to show to them. It was still so much they wanted to know about the company, the founders, just in general, who we are. Like I was telling you, I sent them photos of my office and, where the breakfast room is, and just kind of the conference, the whole thing. But if you are a dispensary, if you are a delivery, if you are, that kind of a business actually touches the plant, and you've been in business for a little while, then you have to have all these kind of, records, transactions, tax history, everything that you have done, in line before you apply to get an MRB bank account.
Well, and before we go to break, Ali, tell us quickly what has happened since then as far as auditing goes. And you got everything started in January. Here we are in March. Are you having to check in monthly? What's the audit schedule look like?
Yeah, so our audit schedule is every quarterly audit, and actually we don't even really, they do it on us. Okay. We actually pay certain fees to maintain the account, because the way the program works is part of Colorado developed, like I was telling you, another kind of entity, which is Safe Harbor Bank, to have their own employees, their own kind of people that are looking at these accounts by themselves, which that's the hardest thing. That's why a lot of banks don't want to really do this, because it's a lot of work. It costs money to really maintain these accounts. And they actually wanted to do this. This is the program they established and they separated, some employees that actually took care of these accounts. So I have my personal banker that I check in with her. Anything I do, if I'm traveling, whatever I'm doing, I need to double check with my, if I'm doing a wire to another client, I have to always check with my personal banker. So the thing is, for us, really just kind of that relationship of maintaining transparency with them. So as clients come in, as we pay things, we always report to them. Actually, I'm coming up my first quarter, so I'm sending them a report of all the sales we did, all the transactions that we did on the platform, to make sure it matches what went into the bank. So that's kind of really about it, in the sense of like reporting. But on their end, they have multiple reporting that they do themselves, which is, for instance, the Financial Crime Enforcement Network, and that's what it stands for. But that's kind of really what it is. It's just kind of like having an accountant, if that makes sense. Reporting all your sales, transactions, everything you do, why you purchase this, kind of, so they understand your entire, business model. I guess that makes sense.
It does, Ali. Thank you.
That kind of reporting.
We do need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be rejoined by Ali Fakhri, who is the CEO of EventHi. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Hello, and welcome to Renaissance CBD. I'm the founder of this company. I'd like to tell you why I decided to get into this particular segment of the burgeoning hemp industry. As a teenager, I was diagnosed with a mood disorder and for longer than a decade took a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Years later, during a routine checkup with my doctor, we both agreed that for whatever reason, the drug wasn't having the desired effect of balancing my moods or helping with my anxiety. His solution was to prescribe a much stronger medication. But within months, I was experiencing extreme weight gain, daily stomach pain, and my hair was falling out in the shower. I was desperate enough to stop taking this medication and all medications, as they say, cold turkey. It was the most frightening time of my life. Imagine for a second the psychological effects of feeling dependent on medication because you were told you had a mood disorder, yet being in so much physical discomfort because of that same medication that you were forced to give it up. I was very much alone in this struggle. I didn't know anyone who was also going through this, or certainly anyone who was willing to share with me how they overcame a situation like mine. These are things that men just don't talk about, I guess. I know I tried to keep the fact that I took medication a secret. I was ashamed that someone as strong and intelligent as I was needed to depend on a drug just to appear normal. As far as I knew, none of my friends and only my immediate family were aware that I took this medication multiple times per day. The next few years were rough, but I continued to seek alternatives. In 2005, I found a brilliant and compassionate doctor in Dallas, Texas, who was using amino acid therapy to help kids stop taking ADHD medications. He agreed to accept me as a patient. Although the protocol worked for me, taking 34 pills a day was onerous, and I could no longer afford to pay for such an expensive treatment. Having said that, I owe Dr. Ross Stewart a debt of gratitude for helping me through a critically important time in my life. So there I was again, cold turkey. In spite of this, the next 10 years of my professional life were unbelievably productive and profitable for me. In my spare time, I kept learning as much as I could to improve myself and enhance my personal and professional relationships. I discovered that a regular yoga practice went a long way towards making me feel calmer and getting restful sleep that seemed so elusive to me most of my life. Next, I gave up alcohol, focused on certain parts of my diet, and improving the health of my gut. I also discovered the quickest way to reduce my anxiety and improve my mood was to take a bike ride into the stunningly beautiful, peaceful Rocky Mountains. Despite all of the success, I just accepted the fact that I would have to spend the rest of my life existing in a state of perpetual anxiety, and it would take close monitoring for me to maintain a consistently good mood. On a bike ride one day, a friend told me he was taking CBD to help him recover. I did some research that led me to read many claims that taking CBD also helped people with anxiety, and it didn't make them feel high or intoxicated like cannabis does. So I bought every CBD product I can get my hands on. I ate it, vaped it, drank it, mixed it, put it under my tongue. I even applied it directly to my skin. With my own at-home makeshift trials and testing numerous CBD products, I discovered three things. One, taking CBD after cycling seemed to increase the circulation of blood to my legs within minutes, and my body felt like it was recovering faster. Two, it helps me to take 25 milligrams of a tablet 2 hours before bedtime in order to prepare for restful sleep. The third thing I learned was that all CBD is not created equally. It matters how and where the plant is grown, extracted, and processed. I was just lucky enough to be offered a superior version of the hemp-based derivative of the plant, which led to the development of the products you see on this website. As a daily regimen, I now take 25 milligrams of the tablet form in the morning and another 25 milligrams when I return home after work. On particularly anxious days, I will take an additional 25 milligrams around lunchtime. Look, I don't pretend to fully understand this incredible plant and all of the interactions with the human body. The best way to describe how it makes me feel is it slows down my manic mind just enough to think a little slower, breathe a little easier, stay focused longer, and be less reactive to stress and negativity I might encounter on any given day. As I'm approaching my mid-40s with CBD, there are days, even weeks, when I don't think about my mood, nor feel the minor aches and pains that stem from sports-related reconstructive surgeries of my past. However, once I experience a few days without taking CBD, I'm acutely aware that it's no longer in my system. I would love to hear your stories of how CBD has improved your life, made you more mobile, relieved some basic aches and pains, helped you recover from workouts faster, maybe help you sleep better, or gave you more patience dealing with the everyday stresses of work, life, and family. Or if it simply made you a happier, calmer, more peaceful citizen of the world. If you find relief with CBD, please share it with those you love and care about. Also, remember to ask your doctor to ask you about CBD. Welcome back to Joint Ventures. I'm your host, Sean Eubanks, CEO of Renaissance Consulting, and today we have been talking to Ali Fakhri, who is the CEO of EventHi. Ali, welcome back.
Thank you for having me again.
Sure. So thank you so much for sharing all of that information. It's such an exciting thing with Safe Harbor and you actually achieving a marijuana business account. So thank you so much for kind of walking us through that audit process. Now let's shift gears, Ali, if we can, to how big is the cannabis event market? Because we talked earlier about online forums and then obviously all the meet and greets in person. Give us an idea of how big this market is.
Yeah. So the way we really kind of started really seeing how big the market is, once we kind of really understood that this industry is a global industry. Once that clicked in, it really kind of started understanding that this can really be as big as we actually understood it is, that big. So what we did is early on, we started kind of just having a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, and start collecting every event that was being, published or being hosted on a spreadsheet, and just start seeing how many attendees are going to these events, what the ticket sales average are, and just start collecting data on these events. And we started noticing a lot of different things that we didn't see. We started noticing that, these events were global. They were happening in Israel, they were happening in Spain, they were happening everywhere, Mexico, Canada. And the second thing was that there was a huge volume of attendees were spending money to go to these events. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to really know why that was happening. So we understood that because it's a new industry that's coming up in the mainstream and kind of being accepted by society, people kind of incorporating it with not just kind of, socializing or, networking, but being incorporated in everything from food, massages. I mean, all these experiences that people kind of just are curious. They wanted to, learn about. That was the way they were learning about them. They were going to events and interacting, socializing or learning about the business or wanting to invest into, a company. Whatever that you can think of to get into, an industry was done through events. It was the perfect platform, or it is right now actually the perfect platform for education, networking, any of that, other than the internet, because online you can go browse, check out websites, check out companies, but you just don't have that face-to-face interaction. With these events, literally you can go to any kind of event that you can think of, like an educational class or even like a paint and puff, like how they have wine and paint, for example. Anything you can think of, even an investment. They were happening. So to us, we looked at it as like the industry really kind of it's happening because of events, because people are learning about these, opportunities or wanting to learn or want to get insight to understand how to use this as a medicine. Just curious about this plant. They will go into an event and just really meeting people and networking. And that's what we really hit us, that this is a big, big market that was just being pushed from other platforms because they just looked at it, it was illegal activity, but it was just such a huge social interaction. It was very similar to alcohol. It was allowing people to come together over a single common interest, which was the cannabis plant.
Well, and Ali, so how do you stay focused? It seems like you stepped in, you're filling a void. There's a much needed, somebody needed to come up with a solution for what was happening with Eventbrite. But how do you stay focused? Because this is global. I mean, do you focus on California? Do you spend more time on the online side, or do you want people to physically meet? How do you manage all of this?
Yeah, so for us, kind of our plan was really just to grow organically. And that was kind of our goal, is just kind of really be as a solution to this industry. We don't want to really just sort of start spending money on marketing and just, advertising everywhere. We just really wanted to see what our clients wanted, what they needed specifically, so we can, A, build kind of around them and also grow with them. So the way we started is we really just kind of focused on California.
Okay.
And kind of that started kind of popping up by itself, started getting referrals. People started talking about, the platform. People coming to us from Eventbrite directly saying, hey, I just got shut down. I'd love to work with you guys because I feel, safer to work here. Okay. So that's how kind of really started. And that's 2 months ago, to be honest with you. So then they started growing really fast. And now I think we're in, 8 states today. We hosted an event today in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So we're just really just kind of growing really fast. But what we did is, in our software, we made sure that we're only working with states who are either medical or recreational.
Okay.
So if you are trying to host an event that wasn't in that market, we let you know that, look, that there's, certain laws or certain, things that follow in the state, so you make sure that you're taking the right precaution before you can host an event on our platform. But right now, we're growing in the U.S. right now pretty quickly because we're just an online platform that anywhere, from anywhere you can host an event. You can just go online, create an event, publish it, and, you can meet people at your house if you want to. So it's happening really quick, just through organic growth, just through event organizers. Also kind of the business model itself allows us to kind of get promoted by the event organizers because they're promoting their event with our link. So that organic growth has been amazing for us. And we're just kind of surreal about it. It's happening so fast for us. And we just launched 3 months ago.
Well, and Ali, so have you had any issues with liability? I mean, there are lifestyle events where people are going to just listen to some music and consume. Have you been tied to any liability there? Are you worried about that? Any concerns there?
I mean, we're definitely worried about it, and also, we have to, as a company, we have to take the right precautions, and we do. Our terms of condition, everything, states that, we're not selling cannabis, we're not, allowing any of that to happen on our platform. We don't, encourage it. We don't do, we really try to take the right precautions to make sure that, we're being compliant, with just overall the law. But to be honest with you, like certain states have certain laws about events, especially California. These things, to us, we build this platform for this culture. I'd rather have my clients go to a cannabis event than an alcohol event.
Sure.
So to me, long as you're taking the right precaution and you're following, the law in your state or city, to me, I don't mind having these events on our platform because I really want to kind of break the stigma by showing, we call them newcomers. People are just hearing about this plant or want to come into this industry to show them that there's a huge amount of people are meeting and talking and, just making a new relationship over this plant. So to me, I really believe events are kind of that key to break that stigma. So yeah, we really take precaution from our end to make sure our users that we're working with, we're vetting them out, and they're, legit event organizers are doing the right thing and actually hosting something that's, somebody can go and enjoy. And also on the other end, if our clients get screwed or we noticed that earlier on that, event organizers will, sell tickets or whatever and don't host the event. So we wanted to make sure that can, be distinct, where we can allow those transactions to happen on our platform. So anything happens, we hold the money, we can know how to distribute it back to the right, owner, I guess.
Yeah.
If that makes sense to, break the dispute, I guess.
It does, Ali.
More
Sorry
securely and
to
safely,
interrupt you, Ali, but let me ask. Let's kind of unpack this because you've said a lot. Going back to when you're talking about the risk, right? The risk and reward. How do you monetize this, and how do you measure? Okay, this is a lifestyle event that might be risky. We might not make enough money on it versus our exposure. How are you monetizing it and balancing the fact that you want to give publicity to certain groups, but you've got to weigh that with your internal risk versus reward?
Of course. So we try to vet out every client before we can pay them back, I guess, if that makes sense. Again, we are a marketplace, so we have sellers and buyers. So that money that goes through our platform, we'll make sure we hold on to it, and that kind of what determines our risk. If if this client is we're paying them and they have most of the money before we even the event has been closed and the client actually went to the event and got what they paid for. So we mitigate it by that. We mitigate it by the history that the client has with us.
Got it.
So the longer you're with us, the better that we can, mitigate your risk and ours as well, to make sure that we're, safe, that we're taking the right precaution and not, losing these attendees money because, we don't know who we're working with. So the longer you work with us, the more you transact with us, the more tickets you sell in our marketplace, you have a higher kind of a tier that allows us to give you more deposits, allows us to, mitigate our risk much better because we know who you are. And we try to get a little more information as that grows as well.
Got it.
So we ask for
sorry, Ali, I got a hard stop, buddy. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Like
we need to go to commercial break. I apologize for interrupting. Guys, don't go away.
Problem.
When we come back, we'll be joined by Ali Fakhri, who is the CEO of EventHi. Go to EventHi.io during the break and take a look at his website. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Hello everyone, I'm Sean Eubanks and we are live here at KMG Academy in Boulder, Colorado. We've just finished up our podcast and I want to let you know that if anybody's aspiring to get into the music industry as a producer or a director, this is the place to do it. You got 22,000 square feet here along with 10 classrooms. So get in touch with kmglife.com and make your dreams come true. Welcome back to Joint Ventures. I'm Sean Eubanks, your host, and we have been talking to Ali Fakhri, who is the CEO of EventHi. Ali, welcome back.
Thank you.
So you did an interview, and you were covered by ABC News, ABC 10 News there in San Diego, and you were talking about ganja yoga events, and then something that piqued my interest, sushi and doobies. Kind of go through that with us.
So those, really the experiences that we offer on our platform. We work with different organizers that create different unique experiences. Ganja Yoga is a yoga class that's hosted by an event organizer named Dee DeSaul. She actually created this event where you can do yoga and consume cannabis. And it's a really unique experience. Sushi and doobie, something where, you can roll sushi and also learn how to roll a doobie. So these things are really kind of new experiences to new people who are looking at cannabis or looking to interact with cannabis. It's a really easy way to digest it, I guess, in a way to kind of go and, meet other people who are new to this or taking the class for the first time. So those kind of really the experiences we work with and trying to bring to show other people that, this is normal. There's nothing, wrong about this or, there's no harm coming from this plant itself, happening everywhere.
So Ali, this is actually this is instructional then. So you're learning how to roll sushi and also roll a joint at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the cool thing about it. It's really you're learning something at the same time, and a lot of these events are like that. They educate you on how they medicate or how they consume, or so a lot of these events are not just what people think of just going and smoking, and and there's a lot of these events as well, which is part of the culture. But majority of the events are happening right now, which it's kind of important because there's a huge gap that needs to be filled, which is education. And these events are kind of filling that gap, where classes or, how to get in the industry, how to be compliant, how to consume, and et cetera, other things in that kind of a topic of an educational topic.
Well, and Ali, you're obviously very talented. You have a software background. It's tremendous. That's a very lucrative industry to be in. But let me ask you, what brought you specifically to cannabis, and how did you marry the two?
To be honest with you, cannabis was completely like off of my my radar because I come from a Muslim background, and any drugs or anything like that was not allowed. So I didn't really try cannabis till I think 2013. But I got into this industry because I was invited to an event, and I fell in love with the industry because I looked at it as just a new industry that was coming up. I looked at it as more of like a movement, as something that's happening that's really changing our society, and I thought that was something that was really cool to be part of and contribute to, because I was really amazed of how a lot of people were not kind of understanding what this is, or they were just really I guess victims of the knowledge they had on this plant. And I thought it was really cool if I could help educate people and show them that, it has helped me personally just focus and really get my anxiety down. Just from day to day, I enjoy things I never thought I would enjoy. But when I smoke cannabis, I enjoy them even more. So that was my thing, was just fall in love with the actual plant. And I just thought it was cool to even work in this industry as well. And, if you like where you work, you're not working a day in your life.
Well, and Ali, this is where, I mean, and this might be a personal question for you, so if you don't feel comfortable answering it, that's okay. But, with your Muslim faith, that is where culture and religion intertwine. They're not separate, much like we might experience. But how has that been with your family? I mean, those are serious consequences that you're facing with the belief that marijuana isn't welcome with the religion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my family, thank God, they come, from a good background, very educated. They've been in the U.S. for a long time. So in the beginning, still was kind of a shock that, I come from, a straight edge kind of a student to kind of really getting into this industry. And what I was working for Mercedes-Benz for a long time. I was in the auto industry for a while. So I really didn't know how to break it to them. Sure. It was really weird to have to tell my parents what kind of work I was doing, or my family what kind of work I was doing. So I kind of slowly just really started showing them, to kind of almost teaching them, having them be my audience, educating them about what I was doing, why I was doing it. I showed them some stories about kids I met in the space that were being healed by this plant, and sure, just other people that are actually benefiting from this, medically and physically. And I think after a while, they kind of started understanding, it's really common sense. It's not that complex to understand that this is a natural plant that has, good, chemicals, a good actual, benefit for our body, for the human soul as a whole. So thank God my parents, they were educated enough to understand that this is a good thing, for anybody, for a human being. So my mom actually takes now CBD. She sometimes juices cannabis. So I got my family into it. I got actually a few of my relatives as well. They're kind of interested in it. They like what's going on. They follow up more. They send me articles all the time, for other states or something like that.
That's what I was going to ask you, Ali. Sorry to cut you off.
My platform to educate them.
That's what I was going to ask you, Ali. Is that other people in your family are also consuming? That's incredible, is it not? I mean, for them to evolve that quickly on the issue.
Blew my mind, to be honest with you, because my parents were very strict, and I really felt that that would not really be easy for them to understand what their son is doing. But I'm happy my mom. I only have my mom in my life, but she was very open and understanding that this is something that actually is helping me as a person. And also, she was seeing it as helping other people as well. So it was really mind blowing to see that change, even with my lover and even other family relatives as well. So it's kind of cool to see that.
That is a wonderful story, Ali. And I know we only have a few minutes left, but I know you have a tremendous amount of empathy for those in the industry that touch the plant, given what you just went through as an ancillary business, as a software company, dealing with this bank account stuff. So what advice, Ali, as a new entrepreneur in the space and a very successful, rapidly rising one, what advice do you have for somebody that's getting in the industry, what to watch out for and look for specifically in California? And you can even do it on the micro level right there in San Diego if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my biggest advice to anybody who's getting in the space or been in the space, do things right. Sure. Run it like a normal business, run it like a legit business. Do things by the book. The days of hiding and doing things the wrong way, it's not feasible. It's not going to sustain in this industry. This industry is coming from, a darker side to a lighter side to the mainstream. So for anybody that's getting in the space, my biggest advice, do things right. Try as hard as you can, to follow the book, make sure you have all your licensing, all, your accounting, everything correctly, even to the bank account. So my philosophy, if somebody points one finger at me, I want to point 10 back. So that's my biggest, I think, advice is just do things the right way that you would do with them in any other industry. Run a right, legit business.
Yeah, well said, Ali, because I love it. The new blood coming in this industry understands that. I think the old guard, who we all respect and love, and we wouldn't be here, frankly, without them.
So, of course. And I hope, I see them changing, too, so I hope they change fast, but they're used to it for so long, it's really hard to, when you're comfortable to something, it's hard to change that.
Absolutely. Well, Ali, what's next with EventHi? What are you trying to do right now? Are you looking to raise capital? Are you looking to expand? Are you happy? What do you need, and what's next for you guys?
Yeah, to be honest with you, right now, for us, we actually are looking to close our seed round. We are kind of close to getting there. We want to get a bigger kind of team to really cater to our clients because they're asking us, for more and more features, and we want to make sure we offer that to them. But our goal this whole year really just to kind of crawl before we can walk, if that makes sense, and we just want to do it right. And that's kind of really the goal, just kind of grow organically and just really kind of capture the market, and not force ourselves onto the market. And that's really kind of the main thing that me and my founders are really looking to do is to grow, naturally and just grow, to take a bite that we can actually consume.
Wonderful, Ali. Well, just looking at the website, thank you so much for everything you do. You've got Direct Cannabis Network on there. You've got an event with Canopy Boulder coming up in April here, which is phenomenal. And then you got the Ganja Yoga as well. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing. And it's really been a pleasure to have you on the show today.
As well, man. As well. Pleasure all mine.
And thank you all for joining us on this edition of Joint Ventures. You can download episodes of our program by going to jointventuresradio.com or subscribing to our show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and now on iHeartRadio. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.